called her often though you're in town. He's smiling and holding a paper bag of beans. Mama's got her babies, they've stopped watching me. Oh, they like this playing and a singing downtown.
Sorry, I'll get back to work here. Sorry, we're just listening to some tunes here in the car. I'm thinking about bluegrass and place. So I was thinking, why don't we talk about that in a car, which is an interesting non-place. It's a mobile place, but a territory where we often do feel at home. And I want to talk about bluegrass through the lens of my Czech work. And I'm here at the corner of Main and Watauga, right near the Down Home, a really influential venue in Johnson City history. It's been around since 1976, and we just heard some music from Ed Snodderly, who's run it for many years now. And it's interesting, the Down Home is a live music venue. It's also used a service called Concert Window in the past to broadcast live shows with video and audio to folks very far away. And in the 1980s, there was a syndicated NPR show called Down Home Music that brought the sounds from the stage out to a much larger audience as well. So bluegrass is one way to really think about place and music, and it brings up some really interesting issues. So I'll give you all a few paragraphs of lit review from an article that I wrote in 2018 on songs and place in Czech bluegrass as an introduction here. Bluegrass is one of many rural-based country musics that are linked to particular places, both real and imagined in the United States. Many scholarly and commercial actors have worked to establish a homologic relation between these country musics and places. That is, they try and make an exclusive connection between sound and place. You can't have bluegrass without this place, and so on. I love folklorist Cliff Murphy's project Yankee Twang, a study of country music in New England, because it's a challenge to ideas that country music is only Southern. And there are a lot of people who have written about country as a Southern thing, and bluegrass as a part of that. Pop music scholar Keith Negus has stated that the country music industry's projection of ideas of family, community, and the common people continue to give the contemporary business a distinctly Southern accent. As an acoustic and more rustic-seeming form of country music, bluegrass is often considered an exemplar of Southern American music, especially in early scholarship. In 1984, Robert Cantwell called it the Old Southern Sound, building on Maine Smith's 1965 description of bluegrass as music played by Southern musicians, primarily for a Southern audience, stylistically based on Southern musical traditions. Czech bluegrass and country music-related projects, and others that take outside of an assumed place of origin, could be considered somehow perhaps less real because they no longer sound in their place of origin. The existing literature on bluegrass music and geography is largely built on the work of George Carney, who uses this kind of homological frame. He maps birthplaces of musicians and the diffusion of some bluegrass-related cultural productions without questioning the ways that these ideas emerge as a part of the processes of change and movement, of mediatization, of professionalization. My research on Czech bluegrass joins work by Murphy, Gardner, Haslam, Soley, Handley, and Dent, in showing how participants outside of the U.S. South create significant meaning through productive re-territorializations of country musics. I'm eager to hear what you think about these ideas, and also the article from John Beal on bluegrass stage talk. He provides some close linguistic analysis of the formulaic introduction. Here you are, folks. On a festival stage, at a concert, someone will say, on mandolin we have blank from the state or city or region of blank. If you've been to a lot of shows in bluegrass or even other kinds of music, you hear introductions like that all the time. Place and people and sound are linked together. Now, in addition to questioning the ways that we announce each other geographically, Beal also questions what is said and not said from the stage, identifying some ways that bluegrassers front and backstage certain things in their acts. One of the most interesting things he brings out, I think, is his discussion of the subjunctive mode, a performance of the as if on stage. This mode of imagination, the projection of possibility, seems a key part of many of our experiences and creations of music, especially with bluegrass, I think. Kisliuk picks up on several of the threads Beale examines, including the front and back staging concept. She focuses on the jam as a key site for the production and consumption of bluegrass-related music. Think carefully about the assertion she quotes at the very beginning of her article. Bluegrass, true bluegrass, is only experienced live, without mediation, not in an online course, but in face-to-face, instruments playing right into your ear, songs happening all around you. There are all sorts of questions raised by this bit of theory, I would say. In addition to narratives about the jam and details about the social and musical interaction that Kisliuk relates, I encourage you to think about her musings on extemporaneous improvisation versus the more studied kind. The quote that she provides from Robert Cantwell is food for thought for me as a musician. Sometimes the most creative and innovative improvisations might not be the ones that come out in the moment, in a jam or elsewhere. This idea challenges my assumptions about music and about the moment where music happens and about inspiration. I challenge you to think about that. Hambly's article discusses where music belongs. Why might we believe that music belongs somewhere, right? Raising the question that I still have. How does origin and location affect action? The bits of musical material and the practice that I examine in my article on Czech bluegrass songs provides you with examples of Czechs who ground bluegrass in their own environments, similar ways that Hambly talks about what's happening in the Bay Area. I'm really curious to hear what you think about my arguments, especially about nostalgia, the idea of the real imaginary, and also to hear your reactions to the sound recordings and to the film. I remain excited about Banjo Romantica, since in the film I get to see and hear many of my dear friends, the fieldwork colleagues, some of whom I've worked with for most of 2 decades, and I don't really see a lot when I'm going around places here. The blog post provides a bit more background information about the process of making the film. I never sat out in my studies or field research to make a film, but I'm so glad that filmmaker Shara Lange and I actually did it. So think about it now, all of y'all. What would you like to document through audio-visual production? It could be a podcast, a short video, a sound post for this class. All these sorts of media can reach a lot of people, amplifying and translating ideas, voices, and sounds in new and important ways. So whether in your car, seeing some live music at the down home or somewhere else, wherever you are, keep your eyes and ears open.
Eyes away downtown with the yellow, green, and red, watching the people go passing by.
I found the Johnson City rag. Yeah, get it, Ed.